now you can continue.
Yes, sir. So shall I start from the beginning or
Aman,
continue?
I'll answer your question later. You can continue from where we left, okay? Aman,
Yes.
sorry, Soumya. Yes.
Yes. So the Kyoto Protocol came into force after Russia ratified it in 2005.
2005, yes.
The members were needed to achieve the objective of Kyoto Protocol by their domestic reduction of emissions, and they were
Yes.
also provided the provisions for like marketing the credits in
Okay.
order to
Credit
achieve
development
the
mechanism.
in order to
CDM
achieve
was
the
there.
yes. So there were three market mechanisms which enabled them to achieve the Kyoto commitment. So first one was the clean development mechanism, in which
Okay.
certain countries which were part of the commitment could establish their projects in other developing countries in order to reduce the GHG emissions.
Okay.
For example, Australia set up a project in India.
Okay.
The second mechanism was the emission trading, in which the carbon credit system was introduced, in which every committed members were provided certain quota for use of carbon for emissions, and
Okay.
if some member countries are able to spend less emissions than their quota, they could provide these quotas to other countries who
Sell these quotas, okay?
yeah,
You can
sell
sell
this
these
quota
quotas.
to other countries who would
Emission
have
trading mechanism. Emission trading mechanism was there, right?
yes. And then the third one was the joint implementation, which
Yes,
was
joint
similar to the
implementation.
first one only, in which certain committed countries who established their projects in other countries could also count those contributions in their commitment towards the Kyoto Protocol achievement.
Okay. Thank you so much for this insightful information. So, Aman, your question was, sir, this 55% is CO2 only. No, this 55% is overall greenhouse gas emission, which is measured in a unit called, please tell me the unit. I've told this, okay? I've explained this earlier. Tell me the unit we were using for this greenhouse gas emissions. No, Arpit, it is not ppm. ppm is for particulate matter. Soumi, you are correct. Tons of CO2. It is actually gigatons of CO2 emissions. Yes, CO2 is correct. Yes, Bhuvan, it's correct. Okay. Tons of CO2 emitted. Okay. Even yesterday, I think 2 or 3 slides back, when I was telling this carbon cycle, figure, this figure was having this GHG emission as gigatons of carbon per year. Okay. Gigatons of CO2 per year. This figure also explains this GHG emission unit. Okay. Okay, so I think few things I haven't explained in detail, like this carbon credit mechanism and emission trading. So you don't have to worry, okay? Don't be fearful of those names. You don't have to worry, because I will complete this Kyoto Protocol in detail, a bit in detail, when I will come to this Paris deal. Okay, I told you in my first lecture that when in that class I was giving you glimpse of what we are going to study. So I told you a bit background of Kyoto Protocol, but we will discuss its parts. Okay, and similarly we will just compare it with the Paris deal, so that we can know what changes have been brought up from Kyoto Protocol to Paris deal. Okay. This Kyoto Protocol was signed in 1997. This first came into existence, and this Paris deal in 2015. Okay, it was, I think, COP5, and this was COP21. So I told you this COP is Conference of Parties. Okay, the member countries who attended that Earth Summit. Okay, they these are called parties, and the meeting is called conference. So it is called Conference of Parties. In 2015, we had Conference of Parties, and it is a biennial meeting held every 2 years. Okay. So now we should move ahead, and let me come to this ecological succession. So have you people written the definition, or is it yet to be done? So Animesh,
We
what
have
were Anim,
definition.
Animesh? The question from you is, what were those greenhouse gases?
Like H2, like water vapor,
Water
SF6,
vapor, yes. Then
carbon dioxide,
SF6, carbon
methane,
dioxide, then
methane,
methane, then
atmospheric ozone,
which one?
atmospheric ozone, like not the.
Atmospheric ozone. Okay.
There was like one of chlorofluorocarbons, and
CFCs. Okay.
I guess I remember only these many from what I.
It's okay. I think that's enough. Sometimes we consider this somewhere water vapor is given and somewhere this SF6 is given. Okay.
The most important ones. Right?
So one more is left. Who will tell us? Aman, are you going to tell us the sixth one which we discussed earlier? Yes, nitrous oxide. NOx. Okay. So somewhere we have this one or this one. Okay, but usually these are the 6 greenhouse gases which are considered in Kyoto Protocol, right? Okay, then we should move ahead now. So definition. Now we are going to write the definition. If there is any question now, you can ask. I think we have revised it, the Kyoto Protocol, and now the ecological succession. So you people got the idea, right? You people got the idea yesterday what ecological succession is. It is the development of species on a landform in stages, right? So, okay, you can write the definition, ecological succession. Anything else? Someone is writing something. So if you people are ready, let me dictate the definition now. Okay, right, for the ecological succession, that it is a process of progressive change in structure of species in an ecosystem. It is a process of progressive change. It is a process of progressive change in structure of species in an ecosystem over a period of time. Okay. It is a process of progressive change in structure of species. It is a progressive change in structure of species in an ecosystem over the period of time. Okay. So what happens? The landform or the barren landform, bare rocks, are first colonized by a species called pioneer species. Okay. The landform is first colonized by a species called pioneer species. These are usually these lichens, mosses, okay, those who can survive on the bare minimum of organic matter. Mostly they can survive on inorganic matter from rocks and the nutrients they supply. So pioneer species, I'll come to the definition later on, but here it is just to explain you that this process of ecological succession begins with the pioneer species. Then there is change in species with a change in conditions of surrounding. Okay, the climatic conditions as they change, there is a change in species. Okay, I told you that lichens develop conditions which are they secrete certain kinds of organic acids which lead to formation of soil and thus makes a fertile layer over the crust of earth called soil, which can sustain plants. And then these plants give way to grasses and perennial plants, then shrubs and herbs, then finally forest. and these species are called intermediate species that come in between this pioneer species and climax community. You can see the largest time taken is by the pioneer species. Okay, so it can be millions of years for the first species of green plants to colonize the landform. Okay, for green plants or grasses to colonize, it can take millions of years. And then, yes, it is a faster process. We have intermediate species of herbs, shrubs, and trees and forest. Okay. Then the final community, which is very much diverse, very much complex, and is in equilibrium with its surrounding, which can remain stable with the present environmental conditions. Okay, is the climax community. So this definition is done. Now we are moving towards the terminologies related. The related terminologies to ecological succession. Okay. So the first definition is for pioneer species. The first definition is for pioneer species. Pioneer species is the species which first colonize an ecosystem, either barren or disrupted. Pioneer species is a species which first colonize an ecosystem, either barren or disrupted. Okay, I'll explain this barren or disrupted thing a bit later. Okay, in types of ecological succession. So pioneer species is a species which first colonize an ecosystem, either barren or disrupted. Examples: some lichens can grow on rocks and aid in soil formation processes, right? Then we have intermediate species. So intermediate species are progressive species. Intermediate species are the progressive species which succeeds the pioneer species. Intermediate species are the progressive species which succeeds the pioneer species and form an array of species between pioneer and climax species. Array means a line, a chain. Okay, this is pioneer, then we have a kind of chain here, 1 2 3 4. These are intermediate species, and finally we have this climax species. The species which succeeds the pioneer species, the progressive species which succeeds the pioneer species and form an array of species between the pioneer and climax species are intermediate species. Okay, passing through various serial stages. Serial stages we will commit. We will see it here. Okay, in series. Then climax species. So climax species is the ecological community in final stage of succession. Okay, climax species is the ecological community in final stage of succession, which remains stable or in equilibrium with its surrounding conditions. Which remains stable or in equilibrium, with its surrounding conditions. Okay, so these species remain stable unless there is some disruption in the climate. There is some drastic change in climate, which can be due to natural activities or anthropogenic activities. Natural activities like volcanic eruption, like earthquake, okay, like for fire, large scale fire. Anthropogenic activities, human caused fire, or the blast, some kind of blast, which okay, like we do mining blast or overgrazing, which leads to you can say end of a community, which leads to degradation of a landform, especially the forest here. So are we done with these three definitions, and are they clear to all? Joseph, Naurim, Navya, Chumpi, Shada. Aman, you didn't write. So why is it so, Aman? Can I ask you? I was dictating the definitions.
सब वो last class के लिए गया था मैं कि ecological succession की definition है
Okay.
the last class.
Okay, then I think we should move towards this series. So, will you please give an example for Shada? The example is grasses. Earlier there was nothing. Okay, then came the lichens. So lichen is the pioneer species. Okay, they were the first to colonize the space. Then came soil formation, which led to growth of grasses. Then shrubs. Okay, then trees. Okay, even you can think of an aqueous ecosystem. First came the phytoplanktons, kind of planktons. Okay, then came fishes like jellyfish. If you read somewhere the evolution of life on Earth, you will find it started from aqueous ecosystem, and one of the first species to evolve was jellyfish. So you will find that planktons came, then came the jellyfish, then small fish, then bigger fish, then whale, shark. Okay, so all those in between, the jellyfish, the big fish, small fish, they are all intermediate species. Similarly, in the forest ecosystem, all the species in between, like the grass, the shrubs, they are all intermediate species. Okay. So the climax species is the last species. Climax species is the last species, right? जो कि that is stable in its surrounding. For example, you have a forest. Okay, it has large number of trees, shrubs, grasses, all. Okay, which might be different. Okay, suppose we are considering a timeline. So 1 lakh years ago, some kind of animals were there on a place we are sitting today. Okay, or you can say in Himalayan forest. Okay, we are talking, let us suppose we are talking about Himalayan forest. So 1 lakh years ago, there was a different vegetation, altogether different vegetation. It was just small lichens. This time we are considering when Himalayas was just formed. So it can be millions of years ago. So when just Himalayas were formed, so they were first colonized, okay, a barren land. When Himalayas just evolved from deep inside the earth, I told you about the plate tectonics. So then when first Himalayas were formed, they had vegetation, or you can say species called lichens. Then several grasses came. Okay, then came several grasses. Then later on we move, and now we have full grown vegetation. And the species present today in present complex forest, whether it is of grasses or trees or anyone, these species of plants and animals are totally different or quite different from those present millions of years ago. Okay, so the present species which is in equilibrium with their environment is climax species. Okay, they are very much adapted to the cold and harsh condition, slopy slopes. Okay, you can say steep slopes, or you can say they are winds. Okay, so they are quite adapted to the conditions in their surrounding. So they are the climax community here, while those that came in between were the intermediate. Okay, were the intermediate. Shada, is it clear, or shall I use some other example?
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, Joseph, ask it.
if there is a slight changes in the evolution of species, why
Yes.
human doesn't change till today? The shape of human doesn't change till today.
Because it takes millions of years. Okay, Joseph. If there is a change, even if there is a change, it is very much a small change to notice. Okay, some scientists have noticed that I think you might have heard that in Russia we have found humans with the size approx 10 foot. Okay, body size being 10 foot or 8 foot. Okay, there have been several you can say cemeteries, the ancient cemeteries, which can be I think 1 lakh years old. So in those cemeteries, several skeletons of 10 foot were found. Okay, then you can say that if there are changes, they are on the geological time scale. On the geological time scale, we only live for 100 years at max. Okay, and we are talking about thousands of millions of years. Thousands of millions of years. So on this time scale, to notice this change is very much difficult, right? Are you getting me? If it is like if
Yes,
Earth was,
yes, kind
if
of, sir.
if
But you
Earth
know,
was,
they are the descendants of Anak, true scholars. That means we have a different species. You know that we doesn't evolve from that
Homo
species.
sapiens sapiens, the species of man today, has been formed after evolution of millions of years. Even we are still evolving. If you read the biological books, you will find that we are still evolving.
Okay.
Okay, evolution is a continuous process. And yes, Darwin said that natural selection is there, right? Natural selection is there. So whatever best, if suppose there is a climate change tomorrow, okay, if suppose there is, we have seen that there is rise in temperature on Earth due to global warming. So what would happen? The people having more, you can say, what that content is said. I think malign content. I don't remember the name. The skin content, which can help us
Melanin.
with melanin. Yes, melanin is the content on skin. Okay, which makes our skin black and helps us to absorb the sunlight or to sustain the high temperature conditions. Okay, but people with pure white skin or having whiter skin, they have lesser of this melanin. And if there is high UV rays, they are highly vulnerable to skin cancers. So if there is rise of temperature and decrease in ozone in stratosphere, so what will happen? Nature will choose those having high melanin content in their skin. And the next evolution would be for the black people to survive and white may wipe out. Are you getting me, Joseph? So there will be further evolution. So evolution is a continuous process. The problem is the timeline on which we are considering it. If we are considering, here we are watching over millions of years of timeline. So what changes occurred in 100 years cannot be even noticed on it. Okay. The climate species, it suppose here if to consider a change, suppose there is sudden disruption, then yes, it is a different kind of succession altogether that I will consider later, the secondary succession.
Can I have more questions? Can I add one
Yes,
question?
yes, you can, of course you can have.
Okay. Then do we call human as a climate species?
I didn't get you. Can you repeat?
Did human is considered as a climate species? Human.
For now, yes. For now, yes. For now, yes. Because they are in very much equilibrium with this present scenario.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. There's a part called human geography. When you will come to it, you will know about two things there. There are two groups. Okay, actually, there are dichotomies in geography. So there is one group called environmentalist, or simply you can say deterministic. and there is other group called probabilistic. Okay, so what this determinist group says that human has no power to change the environment, right? And probabilistic group says that human has the power to change environment. They give their own arguments, okay, and they have their own arguments, and yes, both are correct. Okay, both are correct. So what I'm trying to explain here is that even if there is evolution, the human has certainly changed the face of Earth in very drastic manner. Okay, human has changed the face of Earth in many drastic manner. Even if we are not the climate species, we have altered the things in which we are stable. We have altered the things so that we are stable with them. Okay. Else, evolution is a continuous process. Okay. So now we are considering SERE. So SERE is something, I told you that there is primary species, then intermediate species, then climate species. So there is a change from one level to another. Transition. This is called transition from one level to another. Okay. And this transition from one level to the next is called SERE. Okay. You can write the definition. Changes from initial to final community takes place in successional stages. Okay. Changes from initial to final community takes place in successional stages. And these transitional or successional stages are called SERE. ये जो state बदल रही है ना, इसी transition, this very transition of change of stage is called SERE. Okay, so if we are changing, the stage is changing from pioneer to secondary stage of intermediate species, this is SERE. Okay, so if we suppose we are considering a pyramid, and then we can see there are stages of changes, then each such transition change is called SERE. This change is called SERE, right? Done. Any other question? Any other query? Palak, genetic changes that take place. Yes, Palak, genetic changes, that is evolution. I'm not a biology teacher, but you people are asking me to go into biology. Okay, then I think we should move ahead now. So this is general process of succession. So the first question is, which country's flag is this? Simple question. Actually, I designed this arrow, but later I realized that it is a flag of some country. Okay.
Sir, Bangladesh.
Yes, Sakshi, you are correct, and many other people others as well. Soumya is also correct. Aman, Pritam, Disha, Bangladesh, Ashmi. Okay, one more question. Who has written the national anthem of Bangladesh? And
Sir, Rabindranath Tagore.
yes, Sakshi. So Rabindranath Tagore is the only person in the world who has given national anthem for 2 countries in the world, right? Rabindranath Tagore. He received his Nobel Prize in 1930 for literature. For why he got the Nobel Prize?
So for Gitanjali.
For Gitanjali. Okay, very good. So these are small, simple questions you must know because they help you in writing mains answers, if not in prelims, because the standard of prelims has been altered or changed. But in mains, if you are writing about something, you can quote examples. Okay, that helps. Okay. So Rabindranath Tagore, he gave this Amar Sonar Bangla. I think this is the name for this national anthem of Bangladesh, right? It was given for the Bengali people, but later after division of East Pakistan, and birth of Bangladesh in 1971, the country accepted the song as their national anthem, right? Then I was discussing the process of succession. So the succession takes place in 5 stages. Generally, there are these 5 stages. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 5 are the stages, general stages. But the first stage is nudation. Okay, you can only make this kind of arrow or a kind of line, or you can simply write like this. Okay, nudation, invasion, competition, reaction, stabilization, and 2 or 3 words here, 2 or 3 words here. It's just a simple thing. Okay, don't worry too much about it. So nudation is the first thing, and nudation is about colonizing the bare area, or you can say starting of such colonization. Okay, nudation is colonization of bare area, the area which has nothing. Okay, such bare areas are formed due to factors like this: topographic factors, climatic factors, or biotic factors. So let me explain how. Let us suppose there is a land and there is a landslide. So what will happen? A part of this land would get cut from here. So when landslide would occur, this slope, which was initially like this, would turn into like this. Okay, would turn into like this. So this area has now no vegetation. This is recently exposed area to atmosphere, and it has no vegetation. Okay. Now, for vegetation to take place here on this part, succession would occur. Initially, some kind of species would come. They will colonize this bare area first, called pioneer species, and then it will lead to succession into several intermediate species, and then finally, it would achieve the same status as this landform. Okay. More or less similar vegetation would occur on this plane also because of the prevalent climatic conditions, the surroundings. Okay, so more or less same species would colonize as the climate species over the period of time. So, and the topographic, I've told you this landslide. Then climatic is due to, if there are some climatic changes due to reduction in precipitation. Okay, no rainfall, reduction in precipitation, or very high temperatures. It will lead to creation of desert-like condition, and these desert-like condition could be devoid of vegetation entirely over the period of time. If these kind of conditions prevail, there is possibility that there is a creation of dead zone. We have a kind of dead zone in they are found in oceanic environment. Recently, some dead zones were found in Pacific. Okay, where we have no life because of I think pollution and this climatic changes. So what we are trying here to what we are taking from here is that the reduction in precipitation and higher temperature is climatic changes which can lead to a place devoid of life. Okay, and this area then becomes bare to be recolonized. Okay, to be colonized again. And similar is the condition for biotic men. Okay, men or animal, or like overgrazing by animals could lead to could land area bare, or mining by humans. Okay, what we do, we mine an area, left it open, this bare land is now ready for kind of recolonization by some species. So this again is a part of succession. So just here I am telling you that how this bare land comes into place, how the land which is to be first colonized comes into place. There can be submergence of land as well, submergence and emergence. For let us suppose in ice age, water receded because of formation of ice, water receded, sea level receded, and some land emerged from the sea, inside the sea. This became the bare land for colonization. Okay, so this is colonized under a process called nudation. Then comes the invasion. So invasion is the process where establishment of species takes place. Okay, here just colonization occurs. A species comes to this place. Okay, they colonize it, starts their habitation, but here they settle. Okay, in invasion they settle down. Okay, some other developments takes place, and this is establishment of species. It includes three processes like migration, cases, and aggregation. Okay, so migration is about movement, like coming in of other species. Okay, cases is about the resource competition. This is they all are about coming of different species and collecting together. Okay, removing the earlier species, right? Removing the species already present. Then comes this coaction and competition. When aggravated in large amount, competition occurs between these aggregated species, and this leads to competition for light, space, nutrients among the species. Okay. Is there any question from you, sir? What is the cases? Okay, I'll come to it later. Okay, Soumya, I'll come to it later. Then coaction and competition. Aggravated species compete for light, space, and nutrients, right? Then reaction. So when there is competition, what would happen? Certain actions would occur. Okay, certain action would occur, and these actions have effect on the habitat of organism, right? These have effects on the habitat of organism, like development of this humus layer of soil. So if there is release of organic acid, okay, and animals are feeding on the rocks, there is competition among them. So the result of their action, okay, the result of their action is reaction. Okay, and which this reaction is formation of soil here, the top layer, humus. Okay. Then the final thing is stabilization. So slowly, a species comes which is in equilibrium with their surrounding environment and becomes stable in the prevalent environmental conditions. Okay, they become stable, right? They become stable. So you can write it on timeline. Sere, Aman, I told you, Sere is transitional stages. Okay, Sere is about transitional stages. Am I clear? Those three. Aman, there are not three stages. There can be more stages. Okay, let me come to it. Three stages are in general. Okay, three stages are in general. If suppose there has been 10 species, okay, so there are 10 Sere stages. But all these from 2nd to 9 are intermediate species. Are we clear, Aman? So all these intermediate stages are Sere. All these transitional stages are Sere. And cases, who asked it, Soumya, cases is all about establishment of species, right? It is all about establishment of species with the available resources. How they settle themselves. Okay, migration is coming of them, the cases is their settlement, and aggregation is their collection. So are we clear with this process of succession? Any queries, any doubt, anything? Or should I move ahead? Because I'm not going to dictate this. You can simply, I told you that you can simply write this like this, okay? A nudation, invasion, and write 1 or 2 points there, okay? Or you can simply get the printout of this PPT, this page. There's nothing too much to be told about this. And I'm covering in that much detail that even if you have environment as optional, okay, environment is an optional subject, but in several state PCS only, and that too in forest services of state PCS. Like I think UP PCS is having environment as optional for their forest services. So even if you cover up my notes, you will get this environment optional complete for that forest service option, right? And if we go further in details, we might miss the timeline, right? Because we need to cover simple things which are asked in UPSC. Otherwise, there could be problem. Okay, then shall I move ahead? Okay, is it okay till here? Shall I move ahead? I want answers from everyone now. Navya, Naure, Manju, Lakshmi, Joseph, Harsha, Tumpi, Disha. Uttam, yes, Uttam. Uttam, all clear? उत्तम सब समझ में आ रहा है?
हाँ सर, क्लियर सर.
ओके. प्रीतम, प्रीतम सब बढ़िया? प्रीतम, all good? Preetam, why don't you speak? Please speak, at least sometime you can speak. Okay, so this is the question from 2013 UPSC. Read the question and answer it. I think this question is very, this was asked by someone. I think Soumya asked this question yesterday. Okay, Preetam, mic kharab hai, okay. So Soumya asked this question, I think yesterday, or someone else, I don't clearly remember. Please read the question. Grasslands. The trees do not replace the grasses in ecological succession in grasslands. Why? Because of insects and fungi which eat them, or secrete poisonous substances, or there is limited sunlight and paucity of nutrients, there is water limits and fire, or none of the above. I gave my answer yesterday, okay? Yesterday I told you that what are the reasons for such succession does not occur. Yes, so C is the correct answer, which most of you have given. C is the correct answer, water limits and fire. They have enough amount of sunlight, they have enough nutrients, right? There is no paucity of nutrients. Okay, they have enough nutrients. Grasslands, actually, where grasslands are of two kinds: temperate grassland and tropical grassland, right? Temperate and tropical grassland. So tropical grassland, and these grasslands, they are believed to be formed due to natural or human causes, especially the fire. Okay, they are believed that earlier these areas were forest, but due to natural or anthropogenic causes, there was spread of fire which led to formation of these grassland areas. It is a perception, one opinion. Okay, there are other opinions as well. There are several theories. If you will read in, these theories are in optionals. Okay, so when you read in optionals, if you have some, I think in geography you will read this, or okay. So there you will read about how these grasslands were formed, and then you will read the theories of certain, like in forestry. Okay, if you are reading that forestry part also, there also you would come across these kind of theories. Okay, so these theories are about how the grasslands form. Tropical, I told you about tropical and temperate, right? this is Earth, so from 23° north and south, 23.5, this is tropical region. Then from 23 to 66.5, okay, this is temperate region, right? This is temperate region. So the grasslands in this hot and humid condition, they are tropical grassland, while the grasslands in this condition are called temperate grasslands. Don't worry, I'll come to grasslands in detail. In my coming topics, I'll come to grasslands in detail. So this succession does not occur because of absence of, or you can say paucity of water. Paucity of water is the main reason, and fire is the main reason. Because of they are mainly in hot climate, so fire is the reason, right? Okay, and yes, when there is paucity of water, dry conditions are generated, and these dry conditions support fire. Okay, these dry conditions support fire, right? So now we should move ahead. So types of succession. Okay, the next topic is types of succession. So there are two kinds of succession. It is very simple. If, let us suppose, Earth has evolved yesterday, and it took one complete day to reach us today, the conditions of today. Okay, the Earth was formed yesterday, and it took us complete 1 day time to reach the condition where we are today. Okay, so the formation of pioneer species, the colonization by pioneer species, then intermediate species, then we are today's climate species, right? Today we are the climate species. Whatever plant, animal existing on Earth, we are the climate species. So this formation on a bare land where no life existed earlier, right? Suppose if we colonize Mars, so a pioneer species has to go there. So this will be the primary succession. Succession in an area where there is no life present earlier. Okay. The area is colonized for the first time by a species or ecological community. Is the primary ecological succession. Okay. And what initially what comes? The hardy pioneer species that alters the habitat condition. Example, lichens secreting organic acid for formation of soil. Okay. So these are the pioneer species, hardy pioneer species that alter or change the habitat condition and lead to establishment of successive species. Okay. Conducive environment that supports the establishment of subsequent species. You can write the definition of primary species. Okay, give a heading types of succession. Let me first explain, then okay, then you will write. And secondary succession is about succession on a pre-colonized habitat. For let us suppose there was some kind of habitation at a place, and due to some reason there was fire. This fire led to destruction of almost, not all, okay, almost all species in the area, right? And when after this destruction, there again is a kind of succession when several species would subsequently colonize the area. Several species would subsequently colonize the area, right? But here the initial conditions are very much feasible for the life to sustain. So it would take lesser time, right? Like primary में तो कुछ भी नहीं था. So it took a lot of time to make something. At least soil भी बनाने में millions of years लगे. It took millions of years to even form the soil to sustain the initial life of plants. But in secondary, we have feasible initial conditions. So it would take less time for these grasses to colonize. So it would have faster rate, right? Secondary succession would have faster rate than primary succession. And mostly these are because of human intervention. Because though natural interventions are there. So if there is earthquake or volcanic eruption, what would happen? And suppose there is magma from this volcanic eruption, what this would lead to? It will destroy the complete area where this lava flows out. Complete vegetation would be destroyed. And then on this lava, it is a kind of bare land. Okay. But if in those areas where some kind of vegetation survived, this would help in furthering of, or you can say rise of this succession. The secondary succession would take place in those areas where we have at least several species which have pre-colonized the habitat, which were present there. And the time is lesser, the rate is faster. So, do you get the idea of what primary and secondary succession is? Are both these topics clear? Then I should dictate it.
Sir?
Yes, Amit.
Yes, sir. Do the transition between the intermediate species to climax species considered as a secondary succession?
No. That is not the case. Okay. It is from where we are starting. Soumya, from where we are starting. If we are starting from an area which is completely devoid of life, जहाँ पर कुछ भी नहीं है, okay, no form of life is there, then it is primary succession. And if we are starting from an area where we had life earlier, but due to some reason, most, okay, not all, most of its life is destroyed.
Okay. Yes, sir. Got it.
Clear?
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Please mute your mic. There's a background noise. Okay. So anyone else? Any query?
Sir,
Yes, Joseph. Yes.
so if the species died due to some disturbances, then can we consider the secondary succession as a pioneer species because, you know, they are the initial stages of species? They could be the initial stages of species. Yeah.
Yes. Even if the species in the secondary succession, we have a first species, right? Even in secondary species, we have those first species which comes. Okay. Suppose this is kind of secondary succession. So there might be some vegetation. Okay. So this vegetation can act as pioneer species. Okay. Those species which are leftovers can be the pioneer species in secondary succession. Okay. Am I clear, Joseph? Anything? Uttam? Manju, clear? Manju? Sakshi?
Yes, sir. So clear.
Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Harsh and Dishank. Dishank, are you absent today or? Yes. Dishank seems absent today. Okay. So clear? Then you can write the definition now. If you are clear, write the definition, give a heading of types of succession, then this primary succession, and please do it fast. I want to complete this. I think only 1 or 2 pages are left. Oh, there are 3 pages left and time is about to, okay. So, okay. Write the definition of this primary succession. So ecological succession in which an area is colonized for the first time is primary succession. Ecological succession in which an area is colonized for the first time by a species is called primary succession. Okay. Usually they are hardy species that alter the condition conducive to growth of subsequent species. Okay. Usually they are hardy pioneer species. Usually they are hardy pioneer species that alter the habitat condition, okay, making them conducive to growth of subsequent species, making them conducive to growth of subsequent species. Example, microbes, lichens, mosses. Done or shall I repeat? Navya, done. Joseph, done. Anyone, अगर कुछ भी repeat करना हो, please do not hesitate. Okay. Then secondary succession. We are moving towards secondary succession. Okay. Secondary succession is you can say it occurs on pre-colonized area. It occurs on pre-colonized area where most of life ended due to It occurs on pre-colonized area where most of life ended due to some disturbance or disruption. Okay, where most of life ended due to some disturbance, like fire, flood, human intervention. It is faster than primary succession. It is faster than primary succession. और ये तभी होता है जब इनिशियल सक्सेशन में डिसरप्शन आ जाता है. जो प्राइमरी सक्सेशन, if there is a disruption in primary succession, then secondary succession would begin. Okay, so done. This type of succession done, or is there anything to repeat? Shada, Naurem. Shada, Naurim, Harsh.
Yes, sir.
Done?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then I'm moving to the next slide, which is other classification of ecological succession. Okay, so do it like this. You can simply write this other classification, then give this heading first one. Okay, do it with me. Okay, do it with me. Other classification. Point 1, based on energy generation. Give a heading autotrophic. Then autotrophic succession is where energy is generated from within the ecosystem. Okay, energy is generated from within the ecosystem. If there are green plants, there will be auto-generated energy. Okay, autotrophs would make the energy themselves, right? But succession which begins, or you can say succession where energy comes from outside, are called heterotrophic succession. Okay, depends on already available energy outside the system. Okay, like from the decomposers. If it is beginning from decomposers, then it is heterotrophic succession. Like in secondary succession, there can be death of primary organisms, but those dead and decay organisms could lead to newer secondary succession, right? So this would become heterotrophic succession. But if there is development of plant first, they will generate their own energy, and this is autotrophic succession. Okay. Okay or not? Okay, then write the heading second. Okay, and write this change based on changes in system, autogenic or allogenic. Okay, so autogenic is that changes brought within the system, interaction within the system. Okay, what happens if there is certain kind of change? Okay, certain kind of change, and if it is brought from inside the system, अगर सिस्टम के अंदर से ही चेंजेस निकल कर आ रहे हैं, इकोलॉजिकल सक्सेशन में चेंजेस होते हैं. ओके, डिसरप्शंस आर देयर, एंड इफ दीज डिसरप्शंस आर फ्रॉम विद इन द सिस्टम, देन सच सक्सेशन इज ऑटोजेनिक सक्सेशन, दैट इज फ्रॉम विद इन द इकोसिस्टम. एंड इफ दीज चेंजेस इन एन इकोसिस्टम in ecological succession are coming from outside, okay, if there is earthquake, then this is outside the system change. and such changes are allogenic changes. Okay, and the ecosystem will respond to it. Okay, there will be a response. Okay, the system will respond to the changes. Okay, the changes that occur as response to interaction with external system are allogenic succession. Okay, and autogenic, the changes which are from due to interaction within the system. Allogenic, I gave you example, Aman. Example is because of that earthquake or volcanic eruption. Okay, autogenic is because of changes within the system. Like there is spark within the system which led to fire. Okay, within the system, a spark led to fire. Or an ecosystem, a forest ecosystem having river and the flood due to this river. So this is changes within the ecosystem. They are autogenic, and if they are from outside, they are allogenic. Right, Aman? Okay, Aman, or not? Then the third one is based on direction. Based on direction. If the succession is moving towards complexity, increasing biodiversity, niche development, biomass increasing, then it is progressively moving ahead kind of ecological succession, right? Ecological succession which is moving ahead. Okay, this is progressive ecological succession. And if there is decline in trend or degrading ecosystem, it is on retrogressive ecological succession. Okay, progressive is if there is increase in productivity, increasing biodiversity, niche development, competition, so we are moving ahead in the direction, and it is progressive ecological succession. Otherwise, if there is decline in all these activities, suppose there are some causes, some reasons led to decline in biodiversity. Suppose temperature increase led to decline in biodiversity. So it is a kind of retrogressive ecological succession. Okay, so I have completed this classification. Any query, any question? Please be fast. If it is clear, then please tell me, so that last page can be I can complete the last page. Don't worry, you can ask your queries tomorrow also. You are free to ask. Okay, you can ask whenever you want. Okay, then I'm moving towards this last part, which is homeostasis. And with this is the last function of ecosystem. Okay, we had considered 3 earlier, and this is the last function of ecosystem, which is called homeostasis. And I told you that homeostasis is about, okay, write the definition, give this heading, write the definition. Homeostasis is the ability of an ecosystem to maintain its condition of equilibrium. Its condition of equilibrium. This example can better explain this. I've taken the example of an aquatic ecosystem. Let us suppose a pond is there, and there is increase in population of fishes, right? And they would consume the phytoplanktons available on large scale, causing decline in their population. This phytoplanktons would decline. This would result in competition among fishes for lesser food available. Okay, which would lead to decline in population of fish. Okay, because of starvation. And over the period of time, phytoplanktons would regenerate or revolve. And then with this, the population growth of phytoplanktons, the population of fish would also grow over time. Okay, thus the system attained the balance. So if we are here, a change occurred and we came back. This is homeostasis. In simple terms, tendency of biological system to resist the change and remain stable. You can write this line also, tendency of biological system to resist the change, tendency of biological system to resist the change and remain stable. This is homeostasis. Any questions? Write the definition you will get the example when you will get the PPT. Okay, and you can make this graph as well. You can simply write an example: fish eating planktons in pond. Anything else? Till now, everything clear. This ends my function of ecosystem. So please